Hello, my name is Alex,
I'm Logan.
My name's Jaxon.
And Leon.
and welcome to the Run the Play podcast. In this episode, we will be covering mid-season stats for football, predicting players' awards for football players, and predicting NFL teams that we have the first seed, the Kansas City Chiefs, the second seed, the Baltimore Ravens, the third seed, Miami Dolphins, fourth seed, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the fifth seed, the Cincinnati Bengals, and the sixth seed, the Steelers, and the seventh seed, the Bills. What are your opinion on these picks?
Well, Joe Burrow just got injured. You see that?
Yeah, he
Wrist
did.
Injury?
Yeah, that might mess up your list
That
a bit,
might
but
mess up with the Bengals right now.
And is there any other opinion that you have on the list?
The Bills just fired one of their offensive coaches, so that can change how they play for the rest of the season.
Yeah, but I still think the Bills are not like one of those top teams.
honestly,
You know
let
what I'm
me
talking
just let me drop a little hot take real quick. The Giants are winning the Super Bowl this year. The Giants winning the Super Bowl this year. Yeah, no. Give it hold.
Stop gaslighting them, bro. They're not that good.
Like,
They're just gonna lose.
did you
to
not hear that?
Dallas.
Did you not hear that 28-0 at halftime? Like, it's inspirational. I mean, they had the 0, but like,
I think
they're
the
making a
Lions
statement.
have a better.
Speaking of the Lions, for our NFC, we have the Philadelphia Eagles at the first seed, the 49ers at the second seed, the Lions at the third seed, and then the Vikings at the fourth seed, and then the Cowboys at the fifth, Saints sixth, and the Seahawks are at the seventh.
Do the 49ers. You already listed the 49ers.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so we know that the Cowboys will choke in the playoffs.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
can agree.
Seattle's gonna lose in the first round. To the
Always.
49ers. Looking at you, Jackson.
No, I think we got that game.
No.
You
I-
could,
It
but
depends on how Brock Purdy's playing.
Yeah, but I got faith. I got faith in our line,
Alright.
our line and our corners.
I think that the Lions will beat the Vikings if they play in the playoffs together.
yeah, that could come out. But how about the Saints? How do you think the Saints are going to perform in the playoffs?
I don't really follow the Saints that much, but I think they could do pretty well.
As long as their team stays healthy, I think that they can surpass other
I think their biggest playmaker on the field is Alvin Kamara, who's been making a lot of big plays after coming back from his suspension.
That's a good point. But their quarterback isn't
That
at
good?
an elite level.
Yeah, Derek Carr is not the best quarterback. He's not playing for like
At least
he's not playing like the elite quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. You know,
Well, speaking of Patrick Mahomes, let's talk about who might win the NFL Player Awards this year. Because for me, I think that the MVP this year will probably be Patrick Mahomes.
considering how he's been playing this season, he might be the best quarterback in the league this year.
I'm not sure about that. I just don't think Patrick Mahomes is like. I mean, yeah, he's like a really good player, but like I feel like there's some people above him. Like who's been playing like a really good season this? Probably like Lamar Jackson's been playing a really good season.
I could get on with that.
alright.
Lamar has been pretty good this season.
I feel like Gleam has something against that.
No, I just don't see Lamar beating Patrick Mahomes because of stat wise. Like team wise, the Baltimore Ravens have a better team, but stat wise, Patrick Mahomes. And rookie of the year, CJ Stroud.
Oh yeah, rookie of the year we got C.J. Stroud from the Houston Texans. The way he's been playing with his team in his first year in the NFL as a rookie, he's been very impressive.
I think he's gonna bring the Texans back.
Yeah, after the fiasco that happened back in 2020.
I just think that CJ Stroud is a great player. It's just if he had like a better team, I think he would make like a really good impact. I think they would like be like a playoff team.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud and Devin Singletary.
They need some
receiver-
weapons.
They need
Yeah.
some receiver weapons. Yeah.
They should take a receiver in the draft, first round, because to help out C.J. Stroud's development. That would be really a big part of his crazy offense. And for Offensive Player of the Year, we have Christian McCaffrey from the San Francisco. Yeah,
That is a good.
I can't argue that.
I think he's been a big part of the San Francisco 49ers offense ever since they brought him there. He's been their biggest impact player on the team.
I'd say so.
He's been holding them together.
And for Defensive Player of the Year, we got Myles Garrett from the Cleveland Browns, who currently has 11 sacks this year.
What about T.J. Watt though?
T.J. Watt has a little bit less sacks than Myles Garrett, but I had Myles Garrett on my list because he's been playing really good this year.
Gotcha.
He's also on the Cleveland Browns.
Just remember, this is nothing definite yet. They always change.
Yeah.
They still have
Okay.
games left.
And then for Comeback Player of the Year, I have DeMar Hamlin from the Buffalo Bills. From last year, he had a cardiac arrest, and he's coming back healthier and stronger. And I think he has the best chance of winning Comeback Player of the Year.
What about Odell Beckham?
Odell Beckham could be a candidate, but I think DeMar Hamlin has the top spot for now.
I'm gonna have to go with Hamlin too.
I mean, just from watching the Ravens game last night, Odell Beckham was starting to look like his pass out.
Yeah, I will agree. I can agree with that.
I'd say those are the top two candidates right now.
Liam, if you had to pick another Rookie of the Year, who would it be?
I wouldn't pick Bryce Young because of their record so far.
I got an opinion on that. Devin Witherspoon.
Devin Witherspoon has been
Great
playing
corner.
great.
That's
That's a really good.
a solid pick.
Yeah. And how about for another Offensive Player of the Year?
Well, usually the offensive player of the year is usually a quarterback from the past, like Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes and Lamar. There's not really many receivers that you can say.
Yeah,
or
a lot.
running backs.
Yeah, a lot of them haven't been like as productive like from last year.
Yeah.
I don't really know many other rookie of the years, but I'd say like if there was one. I know he's on the Seahawks, but like Jackson Smith-Jacobs been doing a great job at wide receiver for us.
What about Dalton Kincaid?
He finally has emerged as one of a great tight end for this season. He's been racking up the stack sheet, and he's also been like catching the ball really well. He's also been scoring touchdowns lately. He had 4 straight games with over 50 plus receiving yards.
Alright, going into this midseason, for the most passing yards, we got Sam Howell at 2,733. And then for number 2, we got C.J. Stroud, 2,626.
It's another reason he's definitely going to be Rookie of the Year. Second place.
And number 3, we got Tua Tagovailoa, 2,600. And for Jared, and then number 4, we got Jared Goff at 2,507. And then at 5, we got Patrick Mahomes at 2,442 passing yards. How do you feel about that?
I mean, Sam Howell being a number 1 is very surprising, but I'm not really surprised about Tua being up there. He has a lot of weapons, and
I'm
It's-
kind of surprised that Patrick Mahomes isn't a bit higher up there.
I mean, it kind of makes it a little easier for Tua because he like just bombs at Tyreek Hill like half the time.
or Waddle.
Yeah.
But Patrick Mahomes is not high up there because he usually passes very short to his running backs, like Jerick McKinnon. He's mostly been passing to him. Maybe short passes to Travis Kelce sometimes, even Kadarius Toney, and his other receiving weapons. They don't get like big receptions out there. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's one of the things that might hold Patrick Mahomes from coming back for MVP.
Yeah. But right now he is our top prospect for MVP right now.
Let's go into something a bit more offensive. Most rushing yards. Coming in at first, Christian McCaffrey with 747 yards. That's pretty impressive, especially for a season lot average. Derrick Henry, in second place, 625.
All right.
Number 3 being Josh Jacobs, 622 yards ran. Number 4, I'm not saying that.
Travis Etienne is number 4th with 618 yards. And 5th place, we got Zach Moss, surprisingly, at 617 yards.
Yeah,
Just 1 yard behind Travis Etienne.
really had to throw a
Wow.
surprise in there.
Surprised that Zach Moss made up there.
Zach Moss hasn't done much with his career, but on the Colts, it looks like it's working for him.
Better than the Bills.
Yep. When he wasn't able to run a lot with the Bills. Okay. Most receiving yards, we got Tyreek Hill with 1,776.
Explains why Tua
Yeah.
passing yards.
Yeah,
up there,
his
so.
his passing yards were really high. A.J. Brown, 2nd place, with 1,005 receiving yards. And then we got CeeDee Lamb with 975 receiving yards. And then 4th place, we got Keenan Allen at 975, who is tied with CeeDee Lamb. And then we got 5th place, Stephon Diggs from the Buffalo Bills with 834 receiving yards.
I'm kind of surprised that Stephon Diggs is up there. 'Cause I think Josh Allen's leading with interceptions this year.
I mean, that is true, but he's been throwing a lot of deep balls downfield.
Explains all the interceptions.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's what. And he has 11 interceptions thrown this year.
I think it really needs to tighten up in that gap between his throwers.
And for the most tackles, this is more defensive. We got Zaire Franklin with 117 total tackles for the Indianapolis Colts. T.J. Edwards with 112 total tackles for the Chicago Bears. Roquan Smith, 3rd place with 108 total tackles with the Baltimore Ravens. Foyesade Olukun with 101 total tackles with the Jacksonville Jaguars. C.J. Mosley with 96 total tackles with the New York Jets. In the most sacks in the league, we have Myles Garrett at 1st place with the Cleveland Browns. And Daniel Hunter is tied with him with the Minnesota Vikings, both with 11 sacks. 2nd place, we got T.J. Watt with the Pittsburgh Steelers with 10.5 sacks. 3rd place, we got Max Crosby with the Las Vegas Raiders, 9.5 sacks. Khalil Mack with the Los Angeles Chargers. And Josh Allen, the Jacksonville Jaguars, both tied for 4th place with 9 sacks. And we got 5th place, Justin Madubuike from the Baltimore Ravens, Kayvon Thibodeau from the New York Giants, and Trey Hendrickson from the Cincinnati Bengals, all tied for 5th place with 8.5 sacks.
What about the leading interceptions?
Yeah.
Leading interceptions.
Yeah.
So 1st place is kind of tied with 4 people, but we put them in order. We have
And
Minka.
who we think's gonna do better?
Yeah. And we have Minka Fitzpatrick, who we think is going to have the most interceptions this year with the Pittsburgh Steelers, currently at 6. C.J. Gardner-Johnson with the Detroit Lions with 6 interceptions too, but I think he's going to get the 2nd most interceptions. Justin Simmons, we got him at 3rd with the Denver Broncos, who also has 6 interceptions, and just got one against the Bills. And we got Tariq Woolen with the Seattle Seahawks, who got 6 interceptions, and Jair Alexander with the Green Bay Packers, who has 5 interceptions right now with the Green Bay Packers.
You know, there's breaking news. Joe Burrow is out for the rest of the season.
Oh, that changes our list quite a bit then.
But going,
Joe Burrow has a torn ligament in his wrist and his throwing hand.
Ooh.
That's big news for the Cincinnati Bengals. Now they're not going to have him for most of the season, or for the rest of the season, actually.
going back to those interceptions, I feel like out of those people that are tied for interceptions, like last year, I'm pretty sure that the highest interceptions was 7, maybe a little higher. I think it was either 7. It was like
Yeah,
9.
something like that.
And I know Tariq Woolen was up there last year for 1st place, and I feel like he can do it again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it seems pretty accurate because right now he's tied for 1st with Minka Fitzpatrick, and
So, Liam, I'd really like to thank you for your time today. It was wonderful
Yeah, no
talking to you.
problem.
Thank you for coming out.
Thanks for coming up and talking about these stats.
no problem.
Well, now that Liam's gone, let's talk about something a bit more serious. Injuries. You know, everybody has them. Some people hate them. Some people like them because, you know, it gets you out of stuff. But, you know, they take a pretty good effect on teams when it comes to the NFL. So, Yeah.
So for the playoff picture, we had a few teams that we thought were going to make the playoffs, but these injuries are going to affect players for the run into the playoffs. So first we got the Baltimore Ravens and their injuries, and they have a very good player out, and it's their tight end Mark Andrews, who is now out.
The Ravens head coach, he got his injury on Monday, and
Same with the Bengals though. Look, we were talking about earlier, like the breaking news. Yeah, Joe Burrow would be out for the whole season.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
really gonna affect their playoff.
Yeah. If they don't,
Joe Burrow was a wrist injury, right?
I think so.
Yeah, and Mark Andrews was an ankle. He tore his Achilles tendon.
so he might be out for the entire season.
He might be out for longer than the entire. That takes a long time.
I heard
And
Aaron Rodgers come back here soon,
Yeah, no, he is.
he might come back.
but we don't
Ravens
know
will be
100%.
back in about 2-3 weeks, or maybe end of the month.
Maybe.
And then and now they have another player injured, Tyrus Bowser, a linebacker, also from the Baltimore Ravens, who is out, and he has a knee injury and is yet to return to practice with the Ravens.
We got a lot of injuries there for the Ravens. Two could mean a lot.
Yeah, and those two players are pretty big for their team.
Another person who's out for the season, Andrew Voorhees. ACL. Horrible.
And then J.K. Dobbins is on injured reserve with an Achilles injury.
J.K. Dobbins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't he on
Nick Moore,
Ravens
Treon
as well?
Bowen, all out for the season.
And then for the Buffalo Bills, they have Dawson Knox, who's also on injured reserve for the Buffalo Bills. And they don't know if he's going to return, but the coach says that he's going to return by Monday.
God hope.
Well, this Sunday that we just watched the games on, I was watching the Seahawks game as usual.
Yeah.
Geno Smith injured his elbow fourth quarter, but the last couple minutes of the game he went in and tried to play it out, but the Seahawks unfortunately lost.
There are a few other people on injury reserve. Matt Molina, Daquan Jones.
Matt Milano.
They have Kyer Elam and Tre'Davious White. Both of the top corners for the Buffalo Bills are also out for the entire season.
Matt Milano does make a really good impact on him,
Yeah.
on the Bills for
Bills
their
are one of the-
defense.
Even with him gone, though, how they did on Sunday, they were doing really good. They were pulling the weight.
Well, they fired their their old offensive coordinator, got the new one up there. It looks like that guy, the offensive coordinator, will make pretty good impact on the Buffalo Bills.
So when are they going to do it? The Giants? I don't know. Maybe they should.
And back to the Cincinnati Bengals, we said that Joe Burrow is now out for the entire season, and it looks like other players on the Bengals are also out too.
Like Chase Brown, who is on injury reserve.
And I think the Cleveland Browns have some pretty big injuries, big player names like Ronnie McLeod, Deshaun Watson, Nick Chubb, Jedrick Willis Jr., and looks like there's a lot more players.
I feel bad for Nick Chubb. He injured pretty well in the season. Pretty
Often.
beginning.
Very often he's getting injured a lot.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's had one of those the knee injury before, and it feels so bad. It feels so bad because I thought he was gonna do really good this season.
Coming with the Dallas Cowboys, I'm not really seeing many outs for the season. A few injury reserves, but most of them, they're looking pretty fine.
But their biggest injury for their best player on defense is Trevon Diggs. Big impact.
Oh, Trayvon Diggs. Yeah, that's not good for them.
And he has an
But
ACL.
they're still doing a really good job so far. They got a good playoff. They have a good chance of going to the playoffs.
Yeah. And then we are going on to the Detroit Lions, who have a lot of injury reserves. They have guys like James Houston, not a lot of big player names, but Emmanuel Mosley is one of their best corners on the team, and he's on injury reserve.
Even with all those injuries that the Lions have, they're still doing a really good job this season.
Yeah.
They have a really good chance of making the playoffs. Maybe having a chance to go to the Super Bowl, but I don't think they have really. They haven't really played those really really good teams.
Yeah. And then we have the Houston Texans, who I think has a big chance of making the playoffs in the way they've been playing this year.
The Houston Texans?
Yeah.
Really?
I don't know.
I mean,
I've seen the Broncos. The Broncos are coming back. They're 5-5 right now. They won their game last night.
And then, yeah.
They beat the Vikings.
The Texans don't have that many bad injuries either, so they should be fine.
C.J. Stroud looks like he's doing a really good job, like leading the.
For the Colts, I'm not seeing many outs. 2 questionables. I don't really follow the Colts. Anybody here who does?
But it looks like their man Anthony Richardson, their rookie quarterback, is on injured reserve.
The Colts.
Yeah.
AC joint sprain.
How long is he out for?
He's on reserve.
Oh, so he might be coming back here soon.
We
He
don't,
might.
yeah.
Those injuries they're kind of all out of the place.
Another team that we had probably making the playoffs is the Jacksonville Jaguars. And it looks like they don't have that many big injuries either.
Chris Claybrooks?
He's out.
Yeah, no. Just was expecting him to be on the list.
Now we got
He's only out for the commissioner's exempt list, so.
And now we're on the Chiefs that have one big injury, actually. He's on injured reserve. He's a linebacker. Big part of making the Super Bowl, Nick Bolton. He's placed he got placed on injured reserve on Saturday.
For a wrist injury.
Yeah. And now we're down to the Los Angeles Rams. Don't have a lot of injuries either. And now we're at the Miami Dolphins.
Still not many injuries that are worth noting.
Minnesota Vikings, not many injuries, except for Justin Jefferson, who is on injured reserve.
He
And
might be
Kirk
back.
And Kirk
Yeah.
Cousins is also on injured reserve.
There's always so
The
Also, Jordan Hicks, the linebacker. Cam Akers, the running back, is also on injured reserve. Marcus Davenport, another big part of their defense, also.
Giants. Not too many people here. Daniel Jones out on injury reserve for a torn ACL in his right knee on Wednesday.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think Daniel Jones was like doing pretty good,
Yeah.
but like, I think what's his name? DeVito,
Yeah.
DeVito.
Tommy
He's-
DeVito.
Tommy DeVito. He was doing really good. He's doing really good, but the thing is, their whole team's got to work, not just him. He needs to, like,
I feel like the Giants' main problem is definitely their communication so far. Also, I know I probably should say this. Defensive line is horrible.
their defensive line's not that bad.
Pretty
Yeah.
bad. It breaks it always breaks within the first few seconds.
Also, a lot of big players on their team are not playing either. Darren Waller out on injured reserve. Tyrod Taylor, their backup quarterback, is also out. That's why they have the third string quarterback, Tommy DeVito, playing as their starter now.
Darren Waller's out.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And then on the New York Jets, Aaron Rodgers is out, but we already discussed this, that he's probably going to come back during about like week 16 or something.
Here's my question. Which team is the New York team? The Bills or the Jets? It says New York Jets. But everybody in New York always says Bills are like the New York team.
Yeah, because the New York Jets are in New Jersey. And then Philadelphia Eagles, some big injuries. Derek Barnett is questionable. And then Dallas Goedert, the tight end, is out. And he's probably not going to come back for the rest of the season. They also got guys like Nakobe Dean, their linebacker, on injured reserve. And it's a foot injury. Quez Watkins is also on injured reserve with a hamstring injury. Pittsburgh Steelers, another big injuries like Quan Alexander, who's out on injured reserve. And then Cole Holcomb also on injured reserve. And other guys.
Other than the injuries, do you think Steelers have a chance to go to the playoffs, make it to the playoffs?
It depends on how good they play for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
Even with injuries, I think the team's still pretty solid. Not as good as some other not as good as some other teams. But I feel like if they really pull together, they might actually be able to make it.
We're about to see, like, here soon, if, like, the Eagles are actually, like, one of those teams, because they beat the Chiefs on Monday last night. They beat the Chiefs, but, like, they're also got to play some other, like, really good teams.
Yeah, and that's like not even like that's a good team, but they haven't been playing a lot of the big name teams. You know what I'm saying?
What was
Yeah.
Pat's excuse for in the previous game? He was overthinking everything.
I think the Bills, like, with their new offensive coordinator, they might have a chance of coming back and, like, making the playoffs and,
Yeah.
like, doing really good.
Yeah.
But it all depends on like how Josh Allen plays.
and
and,
how
like-
the defense perform, because right now
Yeah.
a lot of their defensive players are right now out.
Yeah.
And then for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, their biggest injury is Ryan Jensen, the center, who's on injured reserve. And for the Tennessee Titans, who I don't think have a chance of making the playoffs, they have Caleb Farley out, who's their cornerback, who's out. Washington Commanders might have a chance, but it's very low. They don't have a lot of big injuries. And that's all the injuries we have for this segment.
Well,
I'd like to thank the ESPN website and Rottweiler for all our information.
yeah, but I think there's still like a little more to talk about, like not just injury wise, but like playoff wise and like stuff like that. But like, so I think the Jets, they lost to the Bills, but like other than that, I think they're a really good team, and they might have a chance to like do really good in the playoffs. It just depends on how like their defense performs, because it looked like the Bills was like marching down the field on there against their.
Now, this is the most shredded time of the podcast. We'd like to wish you, a nice farewell and a good evening. Thank you all for listening, and we'll try and put out a podcast at least every month. I wish you all happy holidays and a great New Year's.